The major racial news right now is the kidnapping of a white disabled man by four young black people, where he was held in captivity, tortured, and then had his agony live streamed on Facebook. Now, those four black suspects have been charged with a numerous amount of offenses, including, although originally they didn't want to charge them with, hate crimes for holding the special needs man hostage and posting it on Facebook. The four suspects were taken into custody on Wednesday. Jordan Hill, 18, Tesfaye Cooper, 18, Brittany Covington, 18, and Tanisha Covington, 24, face charges of aggravated kidnapping, hate crime, aggravated unlawful restraint, and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Hill was also been charged with robbery, residential burglary, and possession of a stolen motor vehicle, while Cooper and Brittany Covington faced charges of residential burglary. So as the story goes, the disabled young man knew the person that he was meeting up with, who would then go on to be his kidnapper. This all took place in a Chicago suburb on New Year's Eve. Now, he wanted to meet up with Hill, who was an acquaintance from school. He knew him. They were going to spend the night together, and they were going to go to McDonald's, have fun, etc. Now, instead, he abused that trust to kidnap the man and carry out this absolutely heinous crime. Now, Hill picked him up in a stolen car and they spent at least 2 days together before going to the Chicago home of his sisters, Brittany and Tanisha Covington, on Tuesday. The attackers cut and repeatedly hit the victim and can be heard shouting, "F Donald Trump, F white people, beat his ass, he gonna be a corpse." They also forced him to say, "F Trump, I love black people," and kiss the floor. The victim was tied up in a corner and left there for about 4 to 5 hours. The group also made him drink toilet water. Now, this whole ordeal kind of came to an end when a neighbor inquired about all the great noise that was coming from the Covingtons' apartment. Essentially, she had threatened to call the cops, telling them to keep it down. The two sisters became absolutely enraged and had been seen in the video smoking cigars that we presume to be blunts. And then they went downstairs, kicked open the door of the neighbor to threaten them, to keep them quiet, and stole something on the way out. This moment where they left to go harass the neighbor was when the young man managed to escape. Now, it's very interesting that despite the racial epithets that were thrown in the video, despite the fact that they were literally saying F white people this, white people that, F Trump, the police originally did not want to classify it as a hate crime, which is absolutely nonsense. Of course, immediately after the incident, the public blamed Black Lives Matter right away, which is false. There's no evidence to suggest that Black Lives Matter was responsible for this in any way, shape, or form. But later, the police changed their mind, decided to charge them with a hate crime. And this is a hate crime. I couldn't think of a better symbol for one. And despite, we get this idea that only white people can be racist because it's a structural thing. But what kind of structural power is there between disabled and non-disabled people? And this person was very clearly targeted for being white, and probably being targeted as for being disabled as well, having a limited ability to understand what was happening. Certainly gained his trust very easily, abused that trust, and had limited mental capacity. Now, I'm a big believer that these people should probably be given the death sentence. They should probably be executed. They went and live streamed this to the entire world and shouted the racial things that they said. They wanted the world to see this. They wanted everyone to know that this was happening. They had absolutely no shame whatsoever. They wanted everyone to see what was happening, and that's exactly what they got. Now, I have heard some people defending the criminals in this case for torturing the young disabled man, saying that, well, black people can't be racist because it's about structural this and that. And if that's what this was about, if this was about oppression, that very real racism that African Americans do face on a daily basis, then why was this young disabled man targeted? If you were going to fight systemic oppression, wouldn't you say attack the police? Or maybe the politicians? The people who carry out these crimes and the people who perpetuate and run the system that does this? But they chose not to do that. They chose instead to attack a disabled person a weak and vulnerable person. They did what is the most cowardly thing that they could do. They attacked the weakest, most vulnerable white person that they could find. And it really speaks, not just the fact that they were torturing him, but the kind of person that they chose for this kind of action. That they are some of the most despicable excuses for human beings that could ever walk the earth. The fact that they would pick on a disabled person instead of trying to fight the structural system itself. And this is absolutely inexcusable on any level. There is no excuse for attacking a person like this. Had they attacked a police officer or a politician, etc., that would have been very different. That would have been fighting a kind of a person within that structure. But to attack a disabled person who probably doesn't even, from what we know, he's probably very autistic and probably doesn't even understand the concept of racism to begin with. And to attack him is just cowardly. And this is one of the most despicable acts and a very terrible way to start 2017. And frankly, I hope they end up with the death penalty, to be honest. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.